Excuse me, big yawn, big yawn. Hello, and welcome to the channel. My name is Patrick. If you're new here, welcome, I guess. If you aren't new, welcome back. So today I got three Kims, the well-known Animal Spirits, Tarot, and Alchemy decks. And I had this idea. I did it in a read one time. It was more a personal read. Um, but I had this idea the other day to put some reversals in the deck and to read it where it's like the things that are upright are things that we're aware of. The things in reverse are things that we're not aware of, or like they're things that we don't see. Right. And so that's what I'm going to do. I have combined the animal spirits and tarot. And I also have the alchemy. How is this gonna work? I'm not sure. I kind of want to do a few of these, but depending on how long they are, it might be one or two. Ooh, the Four of Wands and the Unicorn at the cut, though. The Four of Wands, that unicorn, it feels like when people refer to people as unicorns, it's like people that are too good to be true. So that's why it's a unicorn. It's like once in a lifetime. It's like finding the perfect person. But with the Four of Wands, it doesn't even have to be a person. Like it can be a unicorn job, right? It's like it's a job you love that pays well, has good benefits, and doesn't overwork you, where you're appreciated. You get time off, you get like time with your family. If something comes up, your boss is like, oh yeah, like we understand, like go and take care of whatever you need to take care of. But with the Four of Wands, it's like ending up, it's like rather than it being like this, like it comes and it goes types of energy, it's like committed. So it like sticks around. Wait, that's gorgeous. Hola, Holly. How are you? Wait, did I put 112? I did, didn't I? Thank you. When I was typing that date, I was like, hello? But I didn't catch it. There you go. I fixed it. Thanks for keeping me honest. This read is for tomorrow. So tomorrow is the unicorn. Today is the hawk and the octopus. The hawktopus. The hawk is almost, it's like it's one of those, it's an energy near the divine. The octopus is an energy, it feels like it's very intelligent, it's very smart, and it can get anywhere that its beak can go through. It can fit through teeny tiny spaces. I don't know. So, cards. We haven't even started yet. The hyena in reverse and the Eight of Swords in reverse. I feel like this is going off of the hawk and the octopus. It's like this divine energy, this very intelligent divine energy that's able to get into seemingly inaccessible spaces. It feels like the hyena is going to, it almost feels a little towery. Like if there's a certain change that we've been avoiding, it's like it's a change that we've already undergone the metamorphic process for this change. But for whatever reason, we're living, thinking, breathing, feeling as if we hadn't. It feels like the hyena is gonna come in and like it's gonna force the caterpillar out of the cocoon. And it's one of those like, oh no, I'm not ready, I'm still going through my process, and then you emerge this beautiful butterfly that's been like done for at least a few days. And like, oh, I guess I was ready. Thanks, hyena. But with it being in reverse again, it's something that we don't necessarily see coming. Maybe more so than it being something that we don't necessarily see coming, it could be an experience that we're having that's encouraging us to break out of the chrysalis. but it might be because of the nature of the situation, it might be easy for us to not necessarily see it that way. So maybe it can be like heckling and antagonizing, and it feels like it's just for the sake of being heckling and antagonizing. Going back to like the unicorn and the four of wands, maybe it's something that irritates us today so that we can be in that unicorn space tomorrow, right? Maybe it's like the unicorn isn't going to find us in the job that we're working or in the clubs and organizations that we're in. And so something is almost like forcing us out so that we have the room to accept the new thing or so that we come across the new thing. It could be, doesn't have to be. So, your octopus teacher, is that on Netflix? I haven't seen it yet. I think Cindy talked about it a while ago with the octopus card. I can't remember if I met anybody else who talked about it, but I'm pretty sure she did. It is okay, yeah. Because I remembered her saying it was on Netflix. I didn't have Netflix at the time, but I have Netflix now. I've been watching a lot of Netflix and playing a lot of video games, anime, YouTube. I am enjoying my time in between. So, all right, that was interesting. No alchemy for that, I guess. Well, I wonder if somebody want to get some food. I'm kind of hungry. All right, that is shuffled. So I'm gonna do at least two of these. Am I gonna timestamp it? No, I'm not gonna timestamp it, but I will do one of these. So you can flip through until you find the number that you want. And I'm going to put in the title however many numbers I end up doing because I don't know yet. We'll put it right on top of Saturn. On top of Saturn. There you go. The first ring of Saturn. Well, I was watching, it was nature documentaries, I think. It was like Our Planet, I think, with one of my roommates a few years ago. He was watching them, and then whenever I caught him, I would watch them with him. But I might watch it with my mom. She's a Pisces too. I've been looking for something to watch with her. We were gonna watch Everything Everywhere All at Once, but I was tired that day. She was tired that day. It was like a 2-something hour movie. Anyway, so for the first, ooh, almost a whole bunch of alchemy cards. What's cooking in the lab? I'll do two. Like what's cooking and what's like the goal. I guess. I feel like that contrast will help for some reason. Jupiter. Jupiter is what's cooking, number 6. What's the goal? I'll just pull the bottom of the deck when the card fell out. It will remain face down on the table. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. It's also a planet of knowledge. I think it's a planet of knowledge through the energy of expansion, an expanded mind, an expanded awareness, an expanded understanding. It's almost like under the eye of Jupiter, everything expands. Not necessarily everything. Well, I don't have to. Not necessarily everything good. It's just like everything expands under the eye of Jupiter. It also like blows things up, like a microscope, or like can blow things out of proportion, maybe. seeing a lot of animal cards, like exclusively animals. The reason why I mix the tarot with the animals is because I want more than just animals. Which is interesting because I started with the animals. I got the tarot and the animals at the same time, but I started with the animals because I was like, animals, I kind of know. I know animals more than tarot. Less intimidating. But now I'm like, oof. Give me the right animal, I'll be clueless. Okay. Oh, when cards flip over in a deck this massive, I think something flipped over inside. Something came out face down, so I wonder if it'll be face down and in reverse. I'm pretty sure it was like closer to the later half of the deck. I didn't. It's not that I didn't think this through. It's just a lot of cards to look through. I guess nothing flipped over. I'm not finding it. This is the top third of the deck. If it wasn't in the bottom third, I was pretty sure it would be in the second third, the middle third. Nope. I do not see it as of now. So, both of these fell out. It's only two cards. Well, I'll see if we keep going. Both of them fell out face down. Judgment upright, and the Ten of Pentacles upright. I love Judgment with the Ten of Pentacles upright. As I said, that Jupiter expands on everything, not always the great. So, but it's like it feels like Judgment gives Jupiter a certain element of discernment, so that it's not expanding everything. It's like selectively. So because of that, it feels like a soundboard or a mixer where like you're like pushing certain things up and down or whatever. I was just talking with my friend about bass and treble like yesterday, and I was like, I honestly have a very, very loose idea of what those things are. So I just adjust it until it sounds about right. But he was saying because of how thin his walls are in his apartment or where he lives, he can't like he usually listens with like a negative bass, and the highest he'll go like when he's jamming out is like 0 decibels on the bass. I'm like, what? But he was like, if I turn it up anymore, then things would shake. So maybe that's a part of this too. It is an energy of expanding and it's an energy of maximizing, but the sky, I haven't been outside today. So sorry. Yeah, I haven't been outside. I wanted to go on a walk today, but I was like, eh. I like this because it doesn't. It's like it's not expansion at the detriment of something else. So because of that, it feels like there's a knowledge of balance here, which feels like new Jupiter. Jupiter post conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, most specifically for me, when it was Saturn conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, and then Saturn retrograded from Aquarius back into Capricorn, and then Jupiter conjuncted Pluto in Capricorn, and then when they were both prograde or not retrograde, they conjuncted at like 0 degrees Aquarius. That same space that Pluto is about to transit into in a few weeks or in a few months, in like 2 months. Jupiter. Jupiter. And this is 20 and a 10, so it's a 30 energy overall. Yeah, Mars did go direct today. And Mercury goes direct next week. A week from tomorrow. No, a week from today. 11 to 18. Yeah, in a week. Mercury goes direct. Just in time for new moon Aquarius, the start of the lunar new year. This is a 30, 20, and 10. And then a 6, this would be 36. 36 is a divine 9. 36 is also the Hanged Man and the Lovers. The Hanged Man and the Lovers is an interesting energy. I feel like it can be. I feel like it's easy to read it as an almost indecisiveness or a stall in a connection as the result, but it feels like the cause is a certain amount of consideration. Maybe it's one of those like, in order for me to be healthy for you, I have to be healthy for me types of energies. Let's get some more. Oh, immediately. All of yours look like they're face up. So, but Jupiter expanding awareness. That was one of the first things I said about Jupiter. The dragonfly, the 10 of Pentacles or the 10 of Wands literally fell right on top of the Judgment card, just like that. Lots of 10s and 20s. 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Wands, and then the dragonfly. Both of them upright. The dragonfly being that like ancient knowledge or soul wisdom. Oh, I feel like your task is, I don't know if task is the right word, but I feel like if you've been in a period of your life where you are very carefully considering all of your options, or if you're very carefully considering, like, I want to use the word expenditure, like you are applying an appropriate amount of consideration. Because the 10 of Wands and the dragonfly, it feels like a knowledge that can very easily shift balance in a not great way. Oh, excuse me. Oh, oh, I feel like that came out of nowhere. Maybe some things are better left unspoken, but it feels like it could easily, like, almost like unravel something or someone. It's some kind of knowledge or wisdom or something that comes with a great burden of responsibility. This is like, with great power comes great responsibility type energy, but the power is some kind of like knowledge. It's some kind of truth. And I don't know if better left unspoken is the right word, but it feels like I said, you're applying the correct amount of consideration. It's almost like if there's someone in your life who's going through something and there's information that you have for them that you know that they don't want to hear, it feels like it would be that moral dilemma between, like, do you tell this person the truth when they're already in a really fragile state, or do you wait for them to like put themselves together a little bit first and then come forward with the truth? It's like it feels like you plan on telling them regardless, but it feels like it's down to timing because there are other things to consider. I don't have the answer to that question. That's I mean, I could try to pull cards. Sure, I'll pick up half the deck. Um, I was gonna like that's one of your like more so than like trusting your intuition. I feel like it comes down to like knowing the person because sometimes we can be like there are some people who would prefer to hear the truth immediately, even if they're already in a not great space. There are some people who would honestly rather not know, but some people who would rather like get in a better headspace so that they can like receive that information and not just completely like be distraught. So I would say it comes down to the person in that specific situation. Take it as it resonates if it resonates. It doesn't have to be that exact scenario, but it feels like it's something along those lines of what that information has. It feels like it can unsettle something. Um, but it's definitely something that like should be known at the same time. Maybe you prepare somebody to receive the truth. Two more. Okay. The earthworm didn't want to go back in the deck. Like I was shuffling it and it stuck up. Still upright. There are reversals in this deck. I guarantee. Well, I guess I can't guarantee that there are reversals because I could have unreversed every card that was reversed. There were reversals at the very least, but all of yours are upright, which again I love. But the earthworm is here. The earthworm is feeling like it's aerating. The earthworm aerates the ground, right? Um, and so it feels like it's about that person, like I said. Um, it feels like it's talking about like a foundation for something. If the foundation is solid, then yes. If the foundation isn't solid, then maybe work on strengthening the foundation first. Like sometimes our foundation is good, our core is good, but we can be going through a lot. And so it's like more so the things on top that are shaking, and it's not like who we are as an individual. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, then yes. But if it's almost like if termites have started to like eat at the wood of a house, or if something is coming in and disrupting the foundation, then it's like if you put if you shift things too much or if you put too much weight on since the foundation has started to rot, the whole thing could collapse. So probably not. Not a bad time to mention utilizing your resources. Um, if you need help, get help. Be that professional psychiatric or psychological help, be that like other resources and programs, like maybe there's an entity in your community that can like help you pay bills or get groceries if you need help with bills or groceries. Like whatever area you would like, you or they would need help in. It's also very resourceful. And it might be a hit to like pride or ego in the moment, but I saw it yesterday and I think a few times. It was like, do what you need to do to survive, and then you can worry about like other stuff after that. Like, make sure you're solid. Or might be you helping someone else make sure that they're solid, and then you can build. So the card at the bottom of the deck it's the card I was shuffling it, saw it for the first time. I'm looking at the artwork. I'm like, what is this? Never saw this card ever. It's the Hieros Gamos, Alchemical Wedding. So we see the dark and the light and the dark, these two snakes coming together. This snake's tail is already over there, by the way. The snake of the light is far reaching. Jupiter and Hieros Gamos. Maybe that's why there's so much consideration here. There was like the Hanged Man and the Lovers, right? Alchemical Wedding. This is card number 60, 66 when they're together. 60 and 6. So, yeah. I mean, if you're in master number 66 energy, 6 being a number of harmony, it's like greater harmonic energy. It's almost like, let's say that there's you in your house, and like a master number 6 could be, or like 6 could be like the household being harmonious, but there's a whole world that exists outside of the house. Excuse me. So master number 66 would be like there's a harmony in the house, but also a harmony in the community. So like that's the greater harmonic. It's this harmony that harmonizes with other harmonies, or a harmonizing harmony, if that makes any sense. Hieros Gamos, Alchemical Wedding. This is ritual celebration and uniting. All hail the alchemical wedding. The laboratory morphs into a dreamlike dance floor, and all your allies, fellow alchemists, and ancestors are here to witness the celebration. What was once lost has been found. What was once denied has come fully into the alchemist's embrace. The work is often felt as serious and studious, but the alchemical wedding is a moment of levity and lightness. When this card arrives, it is of utmost importance to mark the occasion. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Honor and acknowledge those who have helped you along the alchemical path. You have come so far. Energy radiates from the uniting of opposites and the redrawing of life's blueprint. The new form has arrived. The unknown has become known. You'll be back to your existential queries and tinkering ways in no time. Now the work is to revel in the miracles. That known, or the unknown to the known, again, it feels like it's playing on this Jupiter energy. Being the knowledge, the philosophizing, higher education, wisdom. It's that expansion. I would say pick where you fall. Take this as it resonates. Um, but again, like the horse, okay, the snake. Maybe your sign of the snake and somebody else's horse. I don't know. Anyway, zodiac. I wonder if the snakes and the horses are going to have good years in the water rabbit. The rooster isn't. I mean, my year is going to be amazing regardless, but you know, it's not in my favor. Excuse me. Naturally. Um, but yeah, so the snake on the light side is like expanding. It's reaching over to the snake on the dark side, and it's helping them get to this. It's helping them see the light. And again, that's what it feels like this Jupiter energy is about, so that you can come to this moment of celebration. I think there's also a levity here in this Jupiterian expansion. So that plays on like the jovial, happy, the freedom, the liberation, the able to have a good time energy. I think there's also an almost like between judgment and the 10 of Pentacles, it feels like there's a 6 of Pentacles energy here. Like you're in a position where you're capable of doing a lot or giving a lot, but with judgment, it's like knowing how much to give. That's why it's reading as the Six of Pentacles. But like the other person, if like you're in the Six of Pentacles, it almost puts the other person in the space of a five, or the other energy in the space of a five. And so that is their willingness to be open to receiving. And again, I think that's where the dragonfly and the Ten of Wands comes in. This could be wisdom that you've gained throughout your own life. Maybe you were in a very similar position to someone else and you've come out of it, so you know how to help them out of it. But you also know that they have to be in a space of wanting to receive that. And so that's why it feels like that it comes with a little bit of a burden. Um, but ultimately, like, it looks like it's gonna benefit you. So just continue to be wise and continue to be considerate in many meanings of the word. And there you go. That was interesting. Like it's I guess interesting that um it's so like light and joyous and abundant, but also very like heavy and kind of heady at the same time. Um, so maybe there too is an element of farsightedness, or like maybe there's like a vision that you have of something being a certain way, and it's not that right now. But also, it's like you can't, again, it feels like you can't influence things too much, or you can't provide more than what is able to be received, or something like that. Girl. I don't know. Yeah, it is the balance of light and dark, but again, it feels like things tending towards light because it's Jupiter. It's that we're moving things from the unknown to the known. So it creates a new balance rather than maintaining a balance. But it creates a new, like, sustainable balance. And I think, again, like, that's where all the consideration comes in. Because it doesn't always do someone good to like flood them with knowledge or to flood them with money or whatever we think that they need, right? Oh, there go the sirens. It's like how sometimes people can win the lottery and end up in a worse financial situation than than before they won, because they kind of get careless with spending and they form habits, and then you get used to a certain quality of life that you can no longer maintain because of how the funds were spent. And I don't know, it feels like the consideration is appropriate. You don't have to get like stuck in overthinking, and the Nine of Swords energy didn't necessarily come out, so I don't necessarily see that as a issue, but it's always a potential, right? It's to not overthink something, it's to not be stuck in analysis paralysis, but it does require some consideration. So number two. Number two, where's my text box? What is that song? Is it okay? What is it's not okay, KO. What is it? Okay, let's go or something. Here we go, here we go, here we go again. Yeah, here we go again. Ooh, if the Ouroboros come out. Changing. For number two, your alchemical process. We're playing on it's a similar theme. I already looked at the bottom of the deck. Oof, sorry. You have number 71 and number 46, XL40. Yep. No, 47. XLVII. 47 and 71. Um, the reason why I laugh is it's because like you don't get the Ouroboros, but that like here we go, here we go, here we go again. It felt like a loop, felt like a cycle. You get conjunctio or conjunctio conjunction, and it's not the Ouroboros, but there we go. But again, we have this light dark sort of thing that we're doing again, but this time they're separate. Bottom of the deck is Caput Corvi, the Raven's Head. Maybe separation is necessary. I don't know. We'll see what the cards say. We'll see what the cards say, dude. I think the Raven's Head, it's like this, it almost, from the jump, it almost feels like the hyena in reverse with the Eight of Swords in reverse. Because Caput Corvi, it's an energy of like the Raven says you're ready for this, regardless of whether you know you're ready or not. You're ready, and it's time to perform. Conjunctio conjunction. The sun is going to be conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn. Yeah, the sun is going to be conjuncting Pluto. And then Mercury is going to conjunct Pluto at some time after that. So, because I'm pretty sure, like, Mercury's been retrograde for a minute, so it should be early Capricorn. So maybe with the sun conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn, there's something that you're going to see. And then when the sun moves into Aquarius, and then Mercury conjuncts Pluto before Pluto moves into Aquarius, it feels like the communication of the thing might come later. So you may be encouraged to like try something before you like do it, or to like explore. You might be encouraged to explore something, and while you're exploring it, you might not necessarily be saying or telling people what you're doing, but it's for you to like get a feel of it first and then to communicate it. Maybe it's to make some sense out of it, for you to be in a position to make sense out of it. And that could be something like it can be important for you to know your own perspective on something before it's open to like collective opinion. Because sometimes it can be really easy to forsake our own opinion for what someone else says that we view as wiser, smarter, farther along. Or it can be easy for us to go with like the greater collective. Like, well, if everyone else is seeing it this way, then they can't be wrong, right? Especially if the self is at detriment in the way we're like, if there's a negative self-talk of like, well, this person's like smarter than me, or like I'm not that bright, so I'm sure that like, or like I'm not that experienced. It doesn't even have to be a matter of intelligence. Like I'm not that experienced, so I'm sure it's this other way. But it's like it's for you to see it how you see it first. It's kind of like, try it before you ask for help type of energy. So number 2, as I'm saying all of this, not getting any cards at all, very tight-lipped. I mean, I don't have to pull anything for you. I could just read the alchemy. We'll do 2 more. Oh. This Shark upright, Star in reverse, 8 of Wands upright, Snake in reverse at the bottom of the deck. I didn't even look at the bottom of the deck for the last one, but that's fine. So these cards stuck out vertically? No, they stuck out horizontally, and it made it difficult for the other cards to fall in vertically in the opposite way. Okay. They came out sticking out, and then it was difficult to keep shuffling everything on top of it. It was still face down though. I almost got water earlier today. I wish I did. I got these mics. These mics aren't as tasty as the other mics, and it's strawberry, but I kind of like the other strawberry. But in a can, it don't taste it. Have you ever like encountered the phenomena of when where like either the quantity of something affects the taste or what it's stored in affects it? Now, if you're drinking alcohol, it makes sense, right? If something is stored in an oak barrel for X amount of years, rather than if it's stored in like metal, it affects the taste because there's an interaction between the surface that it's stored in and the liquid. Um, I didn't take wine appreciation in school, but I know some people who took it. They were like, I think some people took it because like you get to drink in class, number one, and you think it's kind of like a blow off class a little bit. But the people who took it was like, it's actually more difficult than you think. And because not only do you have to know the wines by taste, you also have to know like what cheeses pair with them. So there is something that's a little bit more complicated maybe than you think it would be. There's also something it feels like the container or the environment affects it. So there's a really subjective energy here. Ugh. Ew, gross. I didn't want to have to drink this. This video is not sponsored. I do not condone the consumption of alcohol if you are not of legal age wherever you live or if you got problems. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have said it necessarily like that. If it will lead to something else, you know what I mean? Obey your laws and use your own whatever. But I'm gonna have a drink. This is my Oracle juice. Okay. The shark is upright. The eight of wands is upright. The star is in reverse. So this is what you're aware of. Oh my gosh! The snake at the bottom of the deck. This is that Ouroboros energy. I was like, if that Ouroboros pops out, and then we get like basically an Ouroboros lemniscate there, but the whole snake is at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so Ouroboros is here. What's interesting about this? So the here we go, here we go, here we go again. I'm not gonna get a copyright strike for that, right? I don't own the rights to that. That's it's on the tip of my tongue, on the edge of my brain, that nears the region of knowing. I feel like it's okay. It's not like okay, let's go. I don't remember. It feels like you're triggered by something. Either you are jumping on the offensive or you're in a like an antagonistic situation. And it feels like the presence of the shark triggers a flight or flight. There's been a whole lot of fight, freeze. I mean, flight. I almost said fright. Well, fright, yeah. Flight, fight, freeze has been a thing. But for so long, I would hear like your fight or flight, your fight or flight. I'm hearing a lot of flight, fight, freeze, which is the alternative that we also do. Oh, is that a little lightning bolt? Okay. If you chose this, you it makes me think of Jupiter, Zeus, the lightning bolt. You may have also picked one, or you may know someone who resonates with one. Um, I think I'm only going to do three of these, but it triggers this flight, fight, freeze reaction. It feels like though, like you, I don't. It doesn't necessarily read like you're the initial aggressor, but it feels like you're going to pick fight. You could pick fight or flight. I don't think freeze is what you would pick because it feels like you've been in this situation before. I mean, I guess you could freeze, but it's a very immediate reaction to something. What you're not aware of is the star in reverse and the snake in reverse. So I'm not reading reversals necessarily as a reversal is typically read. If there is a way to typically read reversals, it's just like what you're not aware of. So you're not aware of the star and the snake. Because of that, it feels like something is different. I don't know if you've healed in ways that you may not necessarily understand. I don't know if this time is going to culminate in a more cemented healing. I don't know if the person on the other side has healed or the boss, the company, the job, the whatever that's on the other side of this energy is healed. Like something in this situation has changed. But your immediate reaction is like, oh, I've seen this before. I know what to do. I don't think it's what you think it is. See, maybe that's why that Sun conjunct Pluto before Mercury conjunct Pluto. It's like you go and you find out. So maybe part of the collective opinion is the one that you used to have before you healed in this way. It's important for you to like come up with your own opinion or for you to observe and witness firsthand before you defer to someone else's judgment, even if that someone else is you in the past, as you are now. Approach the situation with fresh eyes. That's what it is. Oh, I smell food. Okay. Now I want to play it. I'm kidding. Oracle juice? It's already affecting me, This is my old pattern. Like, I'm the type of person who would like, I would literally have a sip of a drink, have one drink or not even drink, and just pretend like I was drunk because it's fun. Because I enjoyed it. Old habits die hard, even the fun ones. And I think that's the forcefulness of this Kaput Corvi. See, that's why this one, I'm pretty sure it was this one where I said it feels like the hyena in reverse and the Eight of Swords in reverse. Something is going to strongly encourage a metamorphosis transformation that has been in like you're basically done. The butterfly is a full butterfly. It ain't been a caterpillar for at least days. And days in a butterfly's lifespan can be years or weeks. I don't know. But it isn't. It's just, it's like it's gotten used to navigating the world in a certain way or seeing the world through a certain lens or being a certain way. These are actually kind of like, I feel like these are really good, but also challenging, I guess. There's some challenge to it, but the energies themselves are like gorgeous. Let's read Conjunctio 71. Somebody call IXII. It took me decades to figure out that line in Disney's Hercules when there's the two kids under the boulder that's like pain and panic. Speaking of fright, uh, And they're like, somebody call IXII. It literally took me until a few years ago to realize that IXII is 911. I was like, oh, that's 911. Oh my gosh. I think I like my brain just heard it as like a word, as like one word, IXII. It was like when I went to McDonald's at like 4 in the morning, and I wasn't drunk or intoxicated, but I went at 4 in the morning because that's when breakfast started. And she was like, would you like an apple pie? And I was like, what? She was like, an apple pie. And I was like, what is that? She was like, it's like a pie with apples in it. And I was like, oh, an apple pie. Because my brain was hearing it as one word instead of two separate words. It was like, what's an apple pie? Apple pie? But I want an apple pie? What's an apple pie? I've never heard of an apple pie. Not an apple pie, an apple pie. See, and I feel like, again, it's like it's maybe that plays into this conjunctio. There are two things that are like joined together. We see them as inextricably linked, or we see them as not mutually exclusive, or we see them as mutually exclusive. However, we see them, it's like it doesn't make sense because of the lack of separation here. So it's feeling like this. It's like this is how it starts. And then the Kaput Corvi comes in with this, the pearl of wisdom, to get us to separate it into two different things. And when it's separated, we can see it for what it is. I think that separation is important. That separation plays into this. It's almost like if there's a behavior that's become a red flag for us because of, it's almost like it's not necessarily a red flag universally. This is the part where I say the opposite of what I've already said. So it's like it wouldn't be a collective red flag, but it's a personal red flag. It's a personal red flag because of other people that we've met, known, or experienced who have also exhibited this behavior ended up being not great. So we associate that behavior with this not greatness, but it's like we need to separate the behavior from the people because the behavior itself is neutral. It's the people that weren't great. That's why it's like it's not a collective red flag, but it's a personal red flag because of personal experiences. Because then, so like for me personally, if I just interject my own personal experience and project all over this, like I have a friend. For me, like when someone says it's not that deep, it kind of triggers me a little bit. Not being like, not even gonna lie, like it's not that deep because I'm like everything is that deep. What do you mean it's not that deep? And so it kind of became a trigger for me. It did become a trigger for me. And one of my friends a few months ago, they were like, it's not that deep. And I was like, okay. And then they said it again like a few minutes later, it's not that deep. And I was at work, it was a coworker. And so I go back into like, eventually I go back into the lab and I'm like, all of these other times it's not that deep has popped up. And I'm like, there's a part of me that knows that it wasn't said in a context how I've always interpreted it. But at the same time, the triggered in me was like, is this a sign that like I need to cut this off now? Like I can't believe I've just been hit with the it's not that deep. Like, what does this mean? And everything in me was like, it's not that deep. Everything in me was like, bruh, just like let it go. But I had such strong associations with that phrase and with other people and the specific contexts and situations where like it was used, that phrase was used. Like everything was different. So again, like I knew it wasn't, but it was like it was that trigger that was like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Imagine if I would have flew off the handle and then it's like, whoa, like all of what's said is like it's not that deep. What are you doing? Look at the shark. It's not that deep. Dun, da. So you ain't been out in open water, is what you're telling me. Because if you'd been out in open water, you'd know it's always that deep. Oh, look, I just opened to Alchemical Wedding. What? That was at the bottom of the deck for the first alchemical process. But that's an example of like having to separate. That's when I had to separate the phrase from like the person. Live enough, find out, hey, Patrick, it wasn't that deep. It was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. Right? 71. Ooh, we at the back of the book. How many cards are there? Is this the last one? This is the last one. There's only 71. That's such an odd number. Like, it's not even 72. Like, we don't have to put an extra card in there just to make it fit the standard. Excuse me, just to make it fit the standard. But 71 is such an odd number of cards. It is what it is. Conjunctio. Conjunction. Eve! Hello! The 2 is for pile 2. Number 1 has already been done. It's also because I'm not putting timestamps in it, so I mean, if I decide to watch it later, then I'll put the timestamp in. Um, if not, then you just fast forward until you see your number. That's what the 2 is for. So, conjunctio, conjunction. This is love, divine union, and infinity. Conjunctio is the great alchemical operation of love. During this stage, we witness the miraculous work of 2 opposites merging to create a unique third form. Sun and moon unite to reveal the entire cosmos. Black and white unite to reveal the spectrum of color. Unlike coagulatio, conjunctio represents a conscious and benevolent union, one that springs forth from awareness, acceptance, and devotion. It is not a compromise, but rather an activation, a holding of tension and presence that allows each of the entities to thrive and express themselves. Experiencing conjunctio is one of the blessings of the human experience, whether the bond is with human, nature, or divinity. Recognize it by the stirring of your heart and an element of surprise. Through the opposites arises the infinite. So this is gorgeous. Also, I opened up the book to the alchemical wedding. So the alchemical work of love, very fitting. This for me, so now it's one of these like, almost like there's a fine line between anxiety and anticipation. It's almost like if anxiety produces a certain number of physical changes within the body, and anticipation and excited anticipation produces another number of similar sensations in the body, it can be easy to confuse one with the other. That's why I feel like it's also this like there's this initial response to something and a quick like shark is about to pounce. If a shark was like a lion and it could just pounce out of nowhere, like it would be that. But again, that's why it feels like the star and the snake are in reverse, because it's not what it's always been. It feels different. It's healed, like you've healed, and because you've healed, what you're attracting is different. So it's like you wouldn't attract from where you are what you've already been through. You know what I mean? So maybe that can help give you context. So if you're ever triggered by one of your trigger words, phrases, or actions, you can look at the context of where you are now compared to the context of how you've always seen this. And if you can especially see it as different, then you can take that as an opportunity to bring these from in reverse to upright. So now you know how much you've healed. Now you know how much skin you've shed. And if it is the same as it was before, you've healed and grown and matured to the point where you can deal with it. You're not going to be trapped the way that you were trapped. So it's like ultimately you kind of don't got to worry about it. Oh, the Oracle juice. Oracle juice today is this video isn't sponsored, but it's a Mike's Harder strawberry lemonade. I usually get the Mike's Hard lemonade in like the taller glass bottles, and they're good. Even though I don't like strawberries, the strawberry lemonade is still good. The harder lemonade in the tin can, I'm not a huge fan of. So, yeah. You're out of wine. Oh my gosh. Do I need to deliver you some Franzia? The box wine at Walmart. Kapit Corey, I'll read it just to make sure. 46, I got it right. 46 is a 10 too. So it's like it's forcing you into a completion of this cycle. It is strongly encouraging you into a completion of this cycle. 71 is an 8. We have the 8 here. Oh. Oh, snap. Hold up. 71 and 17. In Roman numerals, we can't. In Roman numerals, it's harder to see these as mirrors of each other. But 71 and 17, these are mirrors. And then we also have the 8 of Wands. This is an 888. You have also the elements of water and earth, which are very nurturing, also more feminine elements, if you're curious. And then the 10 here, the Coptic Corby is like, it's forcing a cycle to completion. Because it's like, there's no reason to go there. You're like, here we go again. And then it's like, stop. Like, there's no reason to even go there. Open your eyes, remove the lens and the filter that the trigger and the trauma has put on you, over you, and then look at the situation for what it is. Take it as it resonates, of course, because again, as I said, like if you've already healed and you've already gone through that, if it is what you've experienced before, you'll be able to handle it. But it doesn't feel like it is. If it is, you can take care of it and not be stuck in it, and you don't have to go on the whole ride. You can be like, stop, I'm ready to get off. But it seems like that stop could be a little premature. Um, but like again with the shark and the 8 of Wands, it feels like it's going right for the trigger. It's going immediately for the trigger, and it's like, woo! Somebody about to see a side of you that people ain't seen for years. And it's like, hold up, wait, stop. Like, I'm different, I promise. Kaput Corby, the raven's head, the head of the raven. Though alchemy is filled with a myriad of open ended symbols, the raven's head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemical wheel. With its mighty churning, things are about to change on every level. The raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The raven calls a clear no. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. It's time for something to come together. And it's interesting because it's like through this separation, something else can come together. So there is a little bit of a purge energy because of that, but it doesn't scream. It doesn't scream purge in the way that At least I traditionally feel that the energy comes across. Like it does eliminate and excrete something, but it does like purge sounds kind of violent, right? Like when I hear if you're eating, you might want to mute for like 2 seconds. But when I hear a purge, to me, it's like violent diarrhea or like violent throwing up, violent vomiting, you know? And it doesn't feel as violent. It feels like you might get violent, but it's like calm down, chill out. And what's interesting is like the raven is saying that you're ready for the alchemical work of love. You're ready for this union. You're ready for things to be better. So you don't have to go there again if you don't want to. I mean, again, the raven is kind of forceful, so you might just be forced into it, right? Like, let's say that you're up to your wits' end at work or something like that. And there's this promotion or there's this other thing that you've been wanting to do, but you're like, oh, nobody like appreciates me and da 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 blah 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 blah. And then one day your boss is like, hey, like there's this position that's opening up. We think you'd be great for it. Like, are you gonna apply for it? Like there's a promotion for you if you want it. Did you want it? And you'd be like, what? But they may be like, hey, like the boss called you into their office. I mean, this is highly, highly, highly hypothetical. Take it as it resonates. Follow the energy more so than the expression that I am telling you to try to communicate this point. Okay. But it's like someone's like, hey, like the boss is calling you into their office. And so the shark mode in you is activated. All senses go. And you're like, oh, he's about to fire me. She's about to fire me. So I'm going to tell them what for before they even have an opportunity. I'm going to quit. So, like, as soon as you step into the boss's offices, blah, 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 da, 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 I quit. And the boss is like, well, I called you in here to like offer you a promotion because there's this new position that you've expressed interest in. But I guess if you're quitting, you don't want it. Type of energy. I get take it as it resonates. It may not be that exact thing, but it's that energy of like, it's a really, really quick assumption. And it's not necessarily the case. It also like, it feels like it wouldn't have been something that you would have reapproached the boss with. Because again, the Raven's head is forceful. I don't think it always has to be, but at least today, it continues to be. So it's like it's not something that you would have asked for. It's not something that you would have willingly chosen. It's something that you're ready for. It's something that you want. It's your next step. But it's a step that you wouldn't have been full enough to take the leap towards. And so the leap is coming to you. Hey Steph, how you doing? How are you? I am doing well, thank you. I'm chilling, maxing, relaxing, not shooting no b-ball. I am resting until the universe gives me the green light to go. And it feels like once we go, it may be a minute before we stop. And when we do stop, it'll be different. The TerraCycle symbol. I don't even know. I don't know what that is. How are you, Steph? Did I ask how you are? I saw you uploaded a collective Lafruma reading earlier today. And you got the Wild Woman Tarot. I haven't watched it yet, but woo! Okay. So for the third and final pile, no collective today. Well, no collective, but I'm gonna have to separate the cards out to put them back. So I'll probably still do final cards, but we'll see. I kind of want to start with the cards first and then get into the alchemy. Your cards almost came out like Pile 2's did, which was a disturbance. The cards for Pile 2 were even a disturbance when they came out. For pile three. So the way that I'm reading these, if it's upright, it's something that you're aware of. If it's in reverse, it's something that you're not aware of. Ooh, the golden egg and the bear. Were these upright or in reverse? Who knows? This is a golden egg that's hatching after a long time. Like you might have had this golden egg for so long that you thought it was solid gold, and that it wasn't even like a real egg. You know, maybe you thought it was like not even solid gold, but like a decoration. But then with that bear energy, it comes out of hibernation. It starts to shake a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's the gazelle. The gazelle, she's back. The bear and the gazelle. Did I already do this reading? We'll see. I'm not going to project. I'm not going to project. I'll do my best not to project. But that gazelle, I just saw her. The gazelle and the wolf now. The wolf was the one that was waiting deep within the veil. Okay. Let me go back to YouTube. Hey, glad to hear his stuff. Ooh, oh. The cheetah upright, the fire ants upright. Well, now the cheetah's in its side because I tried to pick up the fire ants. Trying to pick up the fire ants has turned the cheetah on its side. Obviously, an energy of distraction and disturbances. Like a purposeful distraction. I'm going to put it back upright, but it's like, it makes me think if you have a lot of momentum, but not a lot of weight, it feels like you can easily be like diverted. If you have a lot of momentum and a lot of weight, you're just gonna bulldoze, plow through, roll right over, run right through whatever's in front of you. But if you're lighter in weight, it's easy to like misdirect that momentum. So it's like you keep the momentum, but your direction shifts and changes. And I think it's like you don't want that to necessarily happen. You might be aware of a lot of like minor annoyances. And like the cheetah is running out of the fire ant energy. So it's like you may be in that position where you do what you got to do for you. And maybe you're like exiting a certain situation, but then it's trying to like pull you back a little bit. And it's almost like if you try to please everybody, then you'll burn out and you'll end up in the middle of nowhere. You won't be where like they want you to be. You won't be where you want to be. You'll be in this weird in between space where you're frustrated, they're frustrated, and then it's like, okay, well, like if none of us are happy, then what was the point? Ace. Ooh, okay, I'm done. A whole bunch of cards just fell out on top of the cheetah. Ace of Swords is leading the pack upright. If you're getting out of these fire ants, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing, and you also know what they're doing, which is to just distract, excuse me, and deter you and to get you to go somewhere else. Everything upright, just like pile one. Ace of Swords upright, the mouse upright, then the Daughter of Wands upright, and the Nightingale upright. So not only do I see the gazelle again, but I see these two cards again. Interesting. Okay. I don't necessarily believe that the fire ant energy is ill intentioned. The reason why I don't believe the fire ant energy is ill intentioned is because until the cheetah reaches the nightingale, and the cheetah is fast, so it's not going to take long. But all of these cards are dark, and the fire ants are light. So it feels like a helpful but misguided or misdirected energy. Like the fire ants see the cheetah heading like for the light or for the darkness, and they're like, cheetah, like, what are you doing? Where you're going? Like, you're throwing your life away. Like, if you pursue this occupation, or if you get your degree in that, if you leave this person, like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to you, or you're not going to find success, you're going to be miserable. It's like projections. The fire ants are projecting. If the cheetah falls for the projection rather than trusting the knowing that the cheetah holds within, very solar plexus, sacral energy, and the root, it's red, orange, and yellow. If you look around the cheetah, again, that's like where it'll completely throw you off. And you might not be as successful as they said that you would be because you're not as happy. And you're not going to be happy because you're not doing the thing that you're being pulled to, that you're being guided towards. With the mouse here and the daughter of wands, it's like with these two, it's a very small voice. Hey Janelle, how you doing? With the mouse here, it's a very small voice. It's a quiet knowing. It's like the voices of other people in your head can be louder than your intuition, but you can still distinctly make out the voice of your intuition. Then with the daughter of wands and the nightingale, not only is this something that calls to you, and the more you do it, the more you engage with it, it's like the happier you become because it lies closer to the root of who you are. Or it's just like a deeper, if it feels a deeper passion or something like that. Uh, I think also it feels like a siren energy, honestly. 7 planets in Libra. Is that everybody having an opinion on like what the optimal balance would be? It's like everyone's got different taste buds, but they all want the dish to come out perfect. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm just playing. Maybe not. Maybe they're all harmonious and like, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, amazing. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, duh. You know what I mean? There can be a lot of cooks in the kitchen who all like the same things, who all cook in the same way. It doesn't always have to be drama. Okay. Your alchemy. I'm going to do this one a little different. Where you are is this one. Salutio, dissolution. Where you know you're going is this one. Scintillate shards of light. I love this. These sparks of light, it's this nightingale energy. There's sparks right now, but watch them grow brighter and brighter. They'll form a whole constellation one day. You're destined to be a star. You're going to change the world. You can have Aquarius in your chart. You don't have to, but it's easy to say Aquarius. Where they want you to be. What is this? I don't think I've gotten this one yet. Sulfur. Ooh, they want you to be miserable? Where they think you're going. The despicable face. I haven't seen this one, I don't think either. Volte vacuum. Ooh. The easiest way to read this is like you're surrounded by miserable people. Not necessarily surrounded. There are like a few miserable people around you. And you're being called to something else. I think they kind of know that. But the misery in them that loves your company, it's like their love of you being their misery's company competes with their love for you. Sulfur could be something that ain't fire and brimstone, But how this is immediately reading, it's like you're in the space of dissolution. You're separating, you're cutting ties, not just separating and cutting ties. It feels like there's a purity in this dissolution, and you're heading towards sparks of light. And then on the other side, it's like they want you to continue to be miserable so that it feels like they want you to continue to be miserable so that you don't outgrow them. This despicable face, it feels like they fear that if you do something like this is how you're going to look at them. And that's not necessarily true. So this is just like it doesn't it's easy to come off as malicious and malintended, but it feels like it's more like insecurity and like a lack of self-worth or self-confidence and a loss of like someone who is like a friend or someone who is precious, someone who's there. You know what I mean? And it does, again, like it doesn't feel malicious for the sake of being malicious. It feels that it's like they just don't want to be alone in that misery. And they don't want, you know what I mean? This guy, oof. This got a little rough. You might be at work still? Oh, wait. The sun sets so early and I do nothing for so long that my concept of time is completely gone. It was 5 o'clock and I was like, oh my gosh, it felt like midnight. But like you should be off by now, right? Maybe not. This is kind of rough. I mean, it's not. It always gets like complicated. Not always. Sometimes it's more complex and complicated than we might think. At the end of the day, though, is it fair to you to sabotage your happiness, your momentum, and all that waits for you to stay miserable with somebody who might not be doing what they know is for them to do? I feel like there's no way to really kind of talk about this without being mean, but it's like if they choose to remain miserable, you have to ask yourself if it's fair for them to expect you to make the same choice. Oof. Oh my gosh. Well, may 2023 bring resolution to some of that. Yeah, that's not. Oh. Let's get some advice for. I'm gonna split the deck in half. I'm gonna get a few cards for you. I'm gonna pull the cards if they don't if they don't fall out because I could use a Lafruma, the Vulture, at the bottom of the deck. I think the Vulture. It's feeling like you can pursue the things that you're pursuing. It's almost like you shed your skin. It. I feel like I'm gonna communicate it weirdly, like I'm gonna say it weirdly, but this is what it feels like. It's like you can shed your skin and proceed on your journey to live your new life and to get closer and closer to the end of your metamorphosis process before you live, or you're living life as that metamorphized being, right? It's like there's the transformation and then there's living the transformation, but you're living during the transformation. But it's like you can leave your dead skin behind for them to like, oh, for them to like eat. And then that will trigger their own metamorphosis. Again, like I said, I feel like I was gonna say it weird. But that's what the vulture feels like to me. It's like you moving on and then them deciding, because it's like death and rebirth. Call it a phoenix, call it the whatever. You go through your death process, you reemerge, and then it's almost like they can be the vulture on what you leave behind. And then they can use that to empower themselves to go and pursue what is for them, or they can choose to not. That's their choice. And that's like your dedication to your process could inspire them to do the same. That's a easier, less gross way to say it. You know what I mean? It's almost like you can be an example to them, and then when you don't look at them with disgust, then that can also help. But there it's like if that's the route that you take, you're gonna need to like be really good at establishing boundaries and enforcing those boundaries. See, this is the point where I would usually go for the universe has your back cards because I'm like, I need something positive to say. And we'll go for the Lafruming Healing Oracle deck. We'll see how scathing it is. Should I put reversals in here too? No. Did that card flip over? No, it didn't. All right, this will be advice for you in this situation. Or, I mean, take it as it resonates. If it resonates, it could be vice versa. It could not be. You know what I mean? And if this isn't that, it could also be like, let's say it is vice versa, but it's not this situation in particular. Like, it's like, let's say you have a child, and your child is like, hey, parent, I'm going to do this with my life. Like, if that's their calling, if that's what they know is for them, even if it's not their calling, it's their life to live as they please. As long as it's not like, understandably like dangerous, you know what I mean? If they're like, hey, I want to go into stereotypical art, into the art program rather than going into a STEM field. It's STEAM now, but it's like, I don't want to be an engineer. I want to be a musician. It's allow them to be that musician and to not have that knee jerk, like, well, like you got to be really, really, really good to be a musician and to make it. Like, how are you going to pay your bills? Like, it's so hard to get discovered and all this other stuff. Like, if you take this other route, it's a much more guaranteed way to success. Right? It's just like letting someone live their truth, honestly. So, night, Steph. See ya. You leaving? I love that, Janelle. Vultures thrive in only healthy, balanced ecosystems already. Oh, right, Steph. Not night, Steph. Never mind. You're still here. I've been feeling like I'm in a void, but I've just been like sleeping and like it was like the end of December. It felt like 2022 for me ended like mid December. So the last bit of December felt like this void space before the beginning of the new year. I thought that when January 1st rolled around, it was going to be like, oh, it's feeling like New Year. No, it feels like that void is still like there. And then I was talking about it with my journey buddy. She was like, yeah. Um, and then she was like, well, when do you think like your new year is going to start? And I was like, maybe after. So my focus personally right now is on career, right? I'm a Capricorn midheaven, which means that my house of career is cusped in careers, and all of the jobs I've applied for are online, while Mercury's been retrograde in Capricorn. So I'm like, maybe they'll let me know after Mercury comes out of its retrograde. You know what I mean? But in the between time, in the meantime, I'll prepare and I'll rest because it feels like the rest that I'm getting now is going to be important for everything that this year is going to bring. When it starts, I don't know. But I know that I will be rested and ready. I hope I'll be rested and ready. Yo, in reverse. Is there advice? It fell on the floor. I'm gonna see if there. Oh snap! Hold up! Hold up! Hold up! What? Is that the only card? I think so. Okay. Oop, 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 oop. So the first card that came out, it is in reverse. I said I was gonna only read these upright. It's towardness. I thought it was super appropriate that towardness, the rune of the future, came out. Future, Scold, Briars. It's all of the thorns that Leo had towardness. But Leo was so weird because it was like just phasing through everything. And I was like, Leo, what is this? But that's where, like, that's what the cheetah is being led to. That's what the cheetah is being guided to, right? To the future. And look, it ends in this nightingale, right? And then there's like this little bit in all of this card, there's this little burst of light right here. You see, I feel like Yo came out or AO came out because it's just like there's nothing, it's a decision. Because like this is literally it's with it being the sacral, it feels like it's the inside. Something on the inside of you is calling you forward or directing and guiding you forward, just like something on the inside of whoever the other person is or whatever is would have to guide them forward. And while we can impact each other deeply, I don't know if this is deeper than like you can go. You know what I mean? It feels like it just reading like ultimately it's a decision that they have to make for themselves. And so then it puts you in a position to make a decision for yourself on what you're going to do. Are you going to stay where you are or are you going to move forward? And I'm not in the business of making decisions for people. It's rough. I feel like I'm project full on projecting here, but I'm going to assume that there may be times where like if the person acts up or lashes out, it might be easier to like push you forward in that direction because it's like I'm not going to tolerate this or put up with this. But ultimately, I don't think it's necessarily personally. I personally don't think it's necessarily for us to make decisions out of anger or spite, um, because it feels like it can easily be like if that's the energy that we're in when we make the decision, like is that the energy that we want to continue to maintain to keep moving in that direction? Or is it going to be one of those like, you made me mad, so I started this, but now that I've cooled down, I've come back and I stopped doing what I was doing until you make me mad and I go back. It's like this back and forth. And it feels like that's that, like the diverted momentum where it's not, it's like you're not fully there and you're not fully where you want to be. So, like, nobody's happy in this situation. It's complicated. It's complicated. Whoo! I think the first two tricked me, lulled me into a false sense of security that these wouldn't be complicated, but this is legitimately complicated. It's complex. I mean, I feel like it would be really easy for somebody outside of this to just be like, well, you should do whatever you got to do for you and leave them behind. They can make their choice when it's their time. But, the divine, see, at this point in this situation, I can't remember the title, but it makes me think of Amanda Anamkara Messages. I feel like she said it the best. Like when the divine takes you through something in your time, then it's your time to go. And you just have to trust and believe that the divine will do the same for them when it's their time. So it's not like you can start your journey, head towards your light, and then try to like force them to also do the same, because that'll also lead to irritation and frustration on both parts. And maybe that's like part of the fear with this, the despicable face of them, like them fearing that you're going to look at them like this. Me too. I'm gonna have to make it to Ireland one day. Um, it's like trust that just as the divine has you, the divine has them. And in all of our best of intentions, and this goes both ways, it feels like it goes for both people in this situation. If it's people or for both parties involved, if it's not a person on the other side, it just feels like something that can naturally happen when we feel that we know what's best for ourselves and we feel that we know what's best for others. But the divine knows for sure. You know what I mean? And we also don't, it's like even if we know everything that someone is going through, it feels like it still only provides us a certain amount of information. Our knowledge of the future is limited at best, but the all seeing, ever present divine knows everything. So the divine would know how to steer them, where they're going, what they would need for them to make that choice. Because again, with the you here, AO, it feels like it's a choice that has to be made deeply. And the reason why the choice has to be made deeply is because the path forward towards the future isn't necessarily straightforward, and it's not necessarily without challenge. And when we're deeply self motivated, it makes it easier to overcome those challenges rather than throwing our hands up, saying it's too hard, it's too difficult, I'm going to stay where I am, or I'm going to go back because it was easier back there. And again, life is a process, life is a journey. There's always something for us. So if you do face challenge on your journey forward and you backslide or whatever, like you don't have to judge yourself for that. You know what I mean? Allow yourself to be human. Allow yourself the chance of the experience being an experiment or an experience. An experiment, an experiment. But when it does come from more deeply within, it makes it easier to keep going when the going gets tough. And again, you can stop for breaks when you need them. It's not a race. You're loved and supported the whole way through. Whew. So there you go. Hey, I'm glad to hear it, Eve. It could be Seth. It's been retrograde for a minute. I feel like I haven't really. I feel like I've been MIA from. Oh, wrong button. This is what I meant to do. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. That's what I meant to do. I feel like I've been like pretty MIA for most of the retrograde, so I don't even know, honestly. I've been Netflixing and video gaming and stuff like that. Excuse me. Okay, so let's separate these back out and get final cards so I can get some food. Get my clothes out of the dryer. Ooh, see, new is on the bottom of the deck. It was in reverse. I mean, the whole deck is probably in reverse. Oh, then there's Lafruma. New Lafruma. New Fruma. I feel like, and then Earth Mason is right on. You see that? How it's split? Revealing the title for Earth Mason. I feel like that's us allowing ourselves grace. Because the difference between new and Lafruma is that, like, new originally, like, it goes down, but Lafruma is curved upwards. So it's like, if we don't immediately curve upwards, like, we don't have to beat ourselves up. You know what I mean? It might be like, I don't know. That's just, it feels like it's a grace that we have towards ourselves to allow ourselves to be human, to allow ourselves to make mistakes, to allow ourselves time that we need to grieve, time that we need to process, time that we need to heal, time that we need to enjoy the moments that are for us to enjoy rather than immediately trying to find the next thing to work on. Oof. Is that for me? Time to rest when we need a rest. You know what I mean? Call myself out. Mm. Ethel, original birthright, 23, came out. Was, Sap, Impassioned, number 46, is at the bottom of the deck. 510. But this feels like it's like a birthright rising type of energy. Almost feels like it's surging. So I would just say in general, be mindful. It's not to force yourself to always be positive. Just be mindful. You don't necessarily use your own intuition, guidance, discernment. Take it as it resonates if it resonates, when it resonates. But it's like it's not necessarily about forcing the self to feel a certain type of way. It feels like it's more about just recognizing or acknowledging, like, this is what I feel in this moment. Because I think even when we can be honest and recognize it, then it puts a certain rein or hold on like an energetic sort of like backlash or storm, right? Like, if you're grieving, allow yourself to grieve. You don't have to force yourself to be over it. If you're happy, allow yourself to be happy. You don't have to force yourself to be realistic or miserable because, any reason. If you are in a space of intrigue and curiosity and exploration, be fully in that space. You don't have to know everything and be a professional at the jump of every endeavor you take. You're allowed to like learn, you know what I mean? It feels like it's more than anything just to be aware of what's arising within the self. It's in a period of building awareness, and maybe if you've already, it's like once you master that awareness of self, then you can start to like adjust. I don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. Don't know. I don't know. Oh, darkening the snake. The snake. Autumn and darkening. This is where we have the autumn equinox. The days get shorter. Ooh, girl, who was that? Canuntio. The days get shorter and shorter after the summer solstice, but at the equinox, that's when they're equal. So it's after the equinox where it really starts to become noticeable. Um, ooh, hold up. Did I put that in? Yeah, I did. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Ooh, the sun. The sun and autumn. Look how similar these colors are. Autumn is harvest season. It's like the harvest that gets us through the winter. That's the point of planting. I mean, the point is also to be able to eat. That's why it's like when you plant the seeds and when you cultivate and when you grow something, you have to keep in mind different seasons and different cycles, right? Like there's going to come a time where it's winter and the soil, the temperature, the amount of sunlight, it's not necessarily going to be favorable for growing, for cultivating. So you want to make sure you plant enough to last you through the winter. And it feels like there are energetic stores that it's almost like since we are human and since we're prone to being emotional, since we have emotions, it's almost like this energetic manifestation buffer where it's like when you're high vibe and when you're feeling it, it's like you're doing enough to enjoy the more immediate manifestations of those energies, but you're also banking some. So that if you enter a winter, so if your mood dips, like now all of a sudden, it's almost like there's something to counterbalance the mood that you fall into, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? To get you through that winter period before the next high. Like we're held through the lows. We still experience the lows, but we're held through them. Sometimes we do have those days where everything goes wrong. Sometimes those days turn into weeks. For some, those weeks turn into months and even years. Um, I think sometimes too, it's like when we get to that place, it can be hard for us to not completely fall into those emotions, right? It can be difficult for us to like not be consumed by it because there's a difference between like acknowledging an emotion, being aware of an emotion, and allowing ourselves to feel an emotion, and then like being consumed by that emotion. You know what I mean? It's very subtle, but whew. Okay. What is the last and final alchemy? Ash. Kinnis. Number 33. Bottom of the deck is number 64. Yeah, LX Ivy 64. Ooh. Calcanatio, and Kinnis. Calcification and Ash. And then Rosa Aureum is under that. Dot Rosa Mel Apipus, the Golden Rose. There you go. Ho, Ash, 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 and 33 and 64. Where my book go? Where my book go? We'll start by reading Ash. Oh, open to 35, almost. Kinnis, Ash. This is memory, ancestors, and the past. Ash represents what has come before it. The fire is over now, and its flames took with it all recognizable form of what was burned. Only memories and the soft gray ashen substance remain. When this card appears, look back and sift through what has occurred. You are in the realm of ancestors, past relationships, and those that have passed to another realm. Be gentle with the process, as it is delicate and sacred. The Ash card asks us to tend to the true nature of endings, grief, and letting go. You may be asked to be present with others experiencing loss. When in doubt, be like Ash. It is silken, light, and easily carried by the wind. Soften into the memories and into the tears. Eventually, forgiveness follows, and the heart travels alight. Ooh, girl. We're going there. LXIV. Is this the first operation? Yep, calcanatio, calcification. This is heat, fire, and desire. After the fire remains the ash. See, when I was reading that, I was thinking about the Phoenix, and I was thinking about what came out for Gemini, maybe. It was one of the last four signs that I did the Lafruma for. I used it was Cancer. I'm pretty sure it was Cancer because I know I used the runic tarot. It was either Cancer or Aries. It was the one that had the Five of Wands with the Hermit that was under it. Because the Five of Wands was tied up, and it was that energy where it's like the same thing that keeps you bound will be the thing that liberates you almost. Because I'm thinking of a phoenix arising from the ashes. And so I might have to call it on that one. I'm like, so where are we going? Maybe it'll make sense after I read Calcanatio. But there's a little fire here. Calcanatio, heat, fire, and desire. Calcanatio is the great alchemical operation of fire. It occurs when there is enough heat in the vessel to transform the nature of that which is solid or fixed. How does Calcanatio begin? With a tiny glimmer, an urge, a desire that builds into a robust flame. On a psychic level, this stage may be an uprising of emotion that has been repressed or dismissed. It wants something big to change, to be brought to the light and purified. Perhaps a flawed ideology, institution, or outlook. Frustration and anger are wondrous change makers if their heat is channeled with space, time, and awareness. The transformation that occurs from Calcanatio is rarely harmonious. It requires commitment and a willingness to sit through discomfort as old patterns fall into the ashes. The flame initiates sacred change, and eventually the phoenix arises. So yeah, it was in the card. I didn't have to try to rack my brain to like wait. When the heat is applied to the ashes, then the phoenix arises. But the ashes are all that remained from the fire. So maybe we need to discern. Like there's like different kinds of fire. There's a fire that destroys, and then there's a fire that ignites. There's a fire of destruction and a fire of creation. Fire of creation, call it passion. This is where Rob comes in and he's like talking about Thor and Norse mythology and how like that fire in Norse mythology is also like that passion. It's not just like destruction. And I can't remember what Rob says, but it makes me think of Rob and all of that stuff. And you can see like there is a fire that's creeping up on the ash. Is the fire creeping up on the ash to ignite the phoenix, or is the fire like moving out this way and that's just what remains? That's the question. That's why we have the golden rose after. Is that 53? It's 58. This is 64. I don't know why I was excited. Interesting. Ouch. I just scratched my ear a little harder than oh wow. Where is here you are. Oh look, the golden rose. Aurum rosa. There we go. Excuse me. I feel like I can go to bed. I still gotta separate out these cards. I still gotta put these all up right. Well, first I'll separate them, and then I will worry about what's upright and what's in reverse. Luckily, these are all upright from the last one, so I think in that too, there's an energy that's like there's nothing that fire takes. I mean, it's like there's nothing that fire takes that can't be returned. Yeah, it's there's nothing that fire takes that can't be returned. Like fire doesn't take anything that stops the phoenix from being able to function as a phoenix, right? Like when the phoenix is reignited, it's not like, oh, this time it's missing a wing because it lost the wing before it combusted or before it died. It's like it's a factory reset. And it also brings to mind it's like we don't if we try something and we fail, we don't start over from zero. We start from experience. And I think that's also one of the phrases that came into my life that changed it in a significant way. One of them was that, like, when I was in my depression group, and the one of the counselors, I guess, was like, just because you slip doesn't mean that you have to like slide. Like, you can have a rough day or a rough few days, and it doesn't have to turn into a weeks long depressive episode. You know what I mean? And for some reason, like that changed the whole game because my pattern was like, oh, I'm depressed for 1 day, 2 days. Well, there goes everything that I've worked for. I'll be out for weeks. But then she was like, yeah, like you can slip and not slide. And now it's like, if I need a rough night or a rough day or a rough few days, I can take it. And then I'll be back. I think sometimes, though, when we go through the fire, we do fear that we may have been damaged beyond repair, or we may have lost something that was important or vital. But like the phoenix reignites from the core, and nothing in the core can be stolen. Nothing in the core can really be removed, but we can be misguided to, or we can intentionally choose to occlude those things. But then we find out we live enough life that it's still there. Woo! Oh, look at this. Devil in reverse, temperance upright. I'm going through the tarot. Temperance wins. Ooh, a whole string of cards in reverse. I'm just putting all the cards up right now. Oh, my back. Like I overlooked the card now. Some of these feel thicker than I remember. I guess I haven't really used these in a minute. And a minute, in 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 a minute. In a minute. Three of Pentacles and the Empress were the last two cards. Yep, I'm gonna use the tarot before I turn all the animals upright. Wild Unknown Tarot, what say you? What say you to conclude? Oh, look at it. You see that? Wait, where's the camera? You see how it fell on my wrist? Bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords, Seven of Wands. Interesting. See, this, it feels like there are certain things that are recombustible. When the phoenix goes through its rebirth process, when it's restored, just like I said, it's not missing a wing or whatever. It isn't reborn with the elements that it had, because the energy of dis-ease is not recombustible. So when you apply fire to the ash or whatever reignites the phoenix's ashes, it comes back without all of this, just with the Ace of Wands. And then the Four of Swords, it's like it retains its wisdom. It does retain its wisdom, though. You know what I mean? What? I know, right? Because number like the 36, because I looked at that before I went live, and I was almost like, I got 336 right now, and number 36 is here. I think that was for the first one. It was not lost on me. It was not lost on me. Excuse me. Dunavati. Kali Energy, Black Madonna. Dunavati. I might have to look at it. There's our cosmic egg friend. I know I always ask for an animal that I'll understand, but just give me what animal needs to come out. I'm sure I'll get there somehow. Maybe, maybe not. Elephants. Oh, I'm ready to eat. The gazelle and the crow are the last two animals in reverse. Turn them upright. The butterfly was before the gazelle. The bee and the gazelle at the cut. What? The smoky one. Ooh. The horrific destroyer of evil. Like that. Starfish and the bison. The buffalo. The buffalo. Everybody's got a water buffalo. Yours is fast, but mine is slow. Oh, where do we get them? I don't know, but everyone's got a water buffalo. You can't say everyone's got a water buffalo. Everyone does not have a water buffalo. Where's my water buffalo? That's a silly song with Larry, if you know about Veggie Tales. Oh, cards fell on the floor. Oh, one of them fell. Oh, the peacock fell all the way by itself. What's that? Not Maroon 5, not Five Sauce. One Direction. There you go. Goodness. Is it even five? Yeah, it is five of them. Liam, Zayn, and the other three. Right? Liam, Zayn, Harry, Louis? Is it four or five? Liam, Zayn, Harry, and then the other guy. Yeah, I think there are five. I don't remember all five of them. Anyway, five was popping into my head because there are five of them, not because five is in the name. Anyway, it's that like you don't know you're beautiful. That's what makes you beautiful. Peacock in reverse. The thing that you're not aware of, your own internal beauty or whatever. It was like, okay. That's what makes you beautiful. Uh-oh. All right. See ya, Eve. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you have an amazing day at work tomorrow. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Yes. Okay. The last animal. Ooh, the snake. The snake. Ooh, the theme is reptiles. The snake and the lizard. Oh, the eagle is under the lizard. So the eagle eats the snake. That is it Ra and Apep or Horus and Apep? Is it Osiris and Apep? Apep is the chaos, and then Horus symbolizes the order that eventually wins, but not before Apep takes out somebody else. I feel like I'm confusing Set and Osiris. The eagle and the snake are both here. They have a story. Separated by the lizard. The lizard is a change that's. The lizard depends on its environment to regulate itself internally. It's cold blooded. So it's homeostatic. I mean, the snake is the same. but its homeostatic capabilities aren't the same as that of like a mammal, where we regulate our own body temperature internally. We shiver when we're cold to heat up, we sweat when we're hot to cool down, and I'm sure there are plenty of other things. Lizards go out into the sun to heat up, they go into the shade to cool down because again they depend on their environment to do that. So maybe these three together, it's this energy of like us learning to be spiritually, mentally, emotionally warm blooded, just like we are physically. So it's like not, it's like learning to emotionally self regulate, mentally self regulate, and spiritually self regulate to the point where it's like we don't have to depend on like people being nice to us to be in a good mood. Or it's like if we're in a good mood and other people are nasty, we can maintain our good mood. And it's not like, oh, you just ruined my day because your negative attitude lowered my good attitude into a bad one. Or it's like not needing someone else to traverse a certain spiritual space before we traverse it. You know what I mean? And maybe that plays into the conjunctio, the second one, the one that was like go and get your own personal experience before you defer to someone else's opinion or the collective opinion. Um, because it feels like we're all sort of wired. Not only are we all wired differently, it feels like as long as we remain mentally, good night, Steph. As long as we remain mentally, emotionally, and spiritually cold blooded, because we're so dependent on our environment, it feels like it makes it easier for chaos to sort of like spread, or it makes it easier, or it makes it more difficult for order to like come about and then be anchored. Or it does these weird things where it's like, well, if it's not illegal, then it's okay to do. It creates like a morality or an ethics that's like based on the legal system. It's almost like there are too many factors outside of our control. And it's easy for an energy to prey on that, to shift and move the collective in whatever way. And you can use all kinds of tactics to do that. You know what I mean? But it makes us more difficult to, number one, it makes us more difficult to manipulate, yeah, sure, but it also, it helps us stay on our path with less difficulty, with less reliance on the world around us looking a certain type of way or somebody agreeing with us. You know what I mean? So there you go. That is the end of this. I hope that if you see this, you find something of resonance. Again, take it as it resonates, when it resonates, if it resonates. I hope you have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to like all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you are able to navigate whatever time and season that you're in the way that is for you to navigate it, more than anything else. Because your truth could be one that is completely opposite of everything I've said. And if that is the case, I hope that your discernment is strong enough for you to know not to listen to me. If it don't resonate for you, don't take it. If it's not for you, don't take it. Ultimately, more than anything else, I hope you the strength and discernment and clarity to hear and abide by what your intuition is telling you to do. Because where the divine has for you to go is special and it's for you. And it's not necessarily for me to tell you, right? So, anyway, thank you all as well. I will catch you on the next one. And until the next one, continue living life, I guess.